Good morning, Hunt County. Welcome to the Monday Market Update presented by At Home Texas Real Estate. I'm Tracy Hammonds here with you today. As you well know, I'm part owner of At Home Texas Real Estate. I have a broker's license now. I'm a realtor. Even went to that Graduate Realtor Institute, so I've got all those funny letters behind my name too. Anyway, I'm here with you today because Vinay needed the day off. I hope you guys, everybody in Hunt County, went outside yesterday afternoon. We had a little sun shining, a little break from the rain. But that's not the case today, is it, Jonathan?
No, it's not. We got it rain today.
That's right. So I've got today with me, I've got Jonathan Cameron. He's an inspector. Hometown Inspections is his company name. We're going to put his name and phone number up for you so that you can see that. Jonathan, you got a 335 phone number there, so that tells me you're out of the Sulphur Springs area. But you were telling me before the show that you service Hunt and Hopkins County.
That's correct. So I service the Hunt and Hopkins County area and all the way to the Dallas area, even all the way to Longview to cover in for home inspections.
Now, we met at a grand opening over in Sulphur Springs for a title company. They happen to sponsor this show. Now, you were telling me, though, that you're a fireman full-time. So that tells me that you work, I think you said 48 on and 24 off?
It's 24 hours on and 48 hours
Okay,
off.
I had it backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway, you're in Longview.
That's correct. So I work for the City of Longview Fire Department, and I've been there almost 12 years.
Awesome. And you were telling me that your hope is to transition into full-time home inspecting.
Right. So I have approximately about 8 more years left at the fire department before I become vested with my retirement. And at that point, my goal is to do home inspections full-time.
Awesome. So I know that I know your dad personally. Ashley used to work with him when she was over at Freedom Realty in Sulphur Springs. Anyway, so I know that you have a history in real estate, but why home inspections?
So I do inspections at work also. So we have to go to businesses and look at inspecting the business on their wiring, their plumbing, stuff like that, make sure that everything's good at a business with the fire department. So when I took that and was like, well, I think I can make that one of my side jobs as well, because I have 48 hours off, and a lot of firemen have an extra job. Right. And so I wanted to create another business out from the fire department, and I thought, hey, I have that experience already. Let's take that right now and take it to the next level and go outside the fire department.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I know a lot of firefighters, and they all seem to have a side business, and most of them own that side business. I had a buddy of mine that's a firefighter. He had a tree service for a long time. I know another guy here in town that him and his son are both full-time firefighters for different departments, and they own an electrical business, and they do they're electricians both. Anyway, I know you guys are wondering. You keep hearing this beeping in the background, but Jonathan has brought a toy with him. I asked him if it had a name. He said he just calls it his robot. But, you know, Jonathan, we have a lot of crawl space homes in the area, whether it be, what do you call it, pier and beam, block, or just a good old boat arc post.
Yes,
and you were telling me that this guy helps you get under a house without having to go under there yourself.
Correct. So there's a lot of places in the crawl space that I can't get to. I'm a bigger dude myself, so trying to crawl up underneath the house, it's hard for me to get into certain areas. And so what I did is went out and bought a robot that will do it for me. And so it has a camera with lights on it. And so it'll look up, look down, and then it has the tracks. So then it turns just like you would a dozer, and it'll turn, go forward, look everywhere that I can't. And so it gets into the tiny spaces. It's only approximately about 8 inches tall, and I'm a whole lot more than 8 inches tall.
Yeah, I'm thicker than 8 inches myself, and so I've been seeing some inspectors using drones and stuff for roofs, but this was a first for me, and I thought it was very interesting. So I'm glad you brought it onto the show. I can see how this could make your inspection not only more thorough of the underneath side of the home, but I can see how I could also make it more efficient, because you're not having to keep those overalls and mud boots and all that stuff in the truck, and then actually get in and crawl underneath that crawl space. And then a lot of those are accessible inside the home only. Correct. So you're having to bring that mud and stuff back out with you, and I could see how this would also keep the home a lot cleaner when you're coming out.
Yes, sir. Like a bunch of them, the older homes, it's in a closet. There's a little hole inside the closet, you got to go through there. And so coming into the house with your mud, and it's never a perfect crawl space. You're never going to have just a
clean,
dry, clean plastic everywhere. It's always going to be dirt, and it's just going to get everywhere. So the best thing for me that I found was the robot. The The robot comes in, it does the job that I can't get to in places, and it's a lot cleaner of a process.
That's awesome, man. I'm really proud that you brought it in. It's a really cool thing. And you know what? Jonathan was telling me he didn't have a name for the robot. So if you think of something catchy or if you think that you can find a good name for this thing, comment that below this post, and maybe Jonathan will pick out a name for it, and he'll let you know that you got the winning name there. I think that'd be really cool, just to see what people could come up with to call this thing.
Oh, yeah.
I just keep thinking Wally, but that one's already taken. So.
Right. Wally is taken. So we'll see what we can come up with. You see something on there, I'll come up with it, or y'all come up with it, and I'll take a name, pick it, and we'll go from there.
Right. So just walk us through the basics of a home inspection. You know, what other than the crawl space, obviously, you're going to look in the attic, you're going to look at the roof, but what are some of the major things that you find that people need repaired before they purchase a home?
So a lot of things that we're looking at is to make sure that, being a fireman, I like to look at the safety of the house as well. And so the electrical of the home, making sure the roof, the supports and everything in the roof are good also. And so the way I try to start a house is coming in, we're turning everything on, making sure the electrical there, the plugs, the switches, and some things can be rigged so I can't see it with my testers. And so on an older house I found before, they have what's called a bootleg plug. And there's a 2-wire system, and what they've done is looped a wire from the ground to the neutral right there, and they try to what's called a bootleg. And I found that a couple of times, and I just want to make sure that you know that there's safety issues with that, and I try to look for that myself in an older home. I'll take the plug out and look at it. If it hadn't been rewired, sometimes that's what you're going to find. And so to me, it's safety side of the inspection, and then also just knowing, hey, this is what I'm fixing to buy. I take pictures, put arrows, make sure you know, hey, this is what I found, and here's what repairs need to be made to the home. And so
awesome, man. You know, we see that a lot. Ashley and I flip a lot of houses, and I know your dad does that too. And we see that a lot of times. We're not going to go through the expense of rewiring a house, but what we do, I'm not going to try to bypass any of that stuff. I have my electrician come in and run grounds to the kitchen and the bathrooms so that those circuits are safe, and everywhere in the house, I'll just go ahead and put those 2-prong plugs back in and not try to fool anybody and let anybody, you know, think that circuit is grounded when it's really not, because that's a real, you know, hazard.
And that's what I put in my report. I recommend, hey, switching those 3-prong plugs back to a 2-prong outlet unless you can get it regrounded to that plug.
You know, they're getting harder to find. I'm doing a house here in Greenville, and I had to special order those 2-prong outlets, and for the longest time, we were able to just pick them up at Lowe's or Home Depot or even your local electrical store like Elliott's. I know that they used to keep them in stock all the time, but they've become so uncommon now. So many of them have been changed out that they just don't keep those in stock anymore, so you have to order them.
At some point, we're going to get to the point where they're all going to be fixed and house be rewired, or they'll put the new grounds on there.
But, you know, then there'll be the next thing. The arc fault,
there will be another,
the GFCI that's in the breaker box. Yep. There's a lot of things to talk about, guys, and I hope if you don't understand everything that we're talking about, that means that you really need to hire an inspector. And that's the whole point, is that you're looking at a lot of these things that are very specific and they're very technical, and your job's not really to tell you whether you should or shouldn't buy the home, but what safety features the home has or doesn't have, or any defects or deficiencies that the home has that may need to be addressed to make sure that it's safe for your family. So hire an inspector. Make sure you hire one that's licensed. Like if you see Jonathan's, we'll put his slide back on the screen there. You see that he's got that Trek license number. They're licensed by the same government body that license realtors too. So anyway, Jonathan, appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for
having me. Hang around.
Me.
We're going to look at some stats and stuff in Hunt County, but first we're going to hear a word from our sponsor.
At Money Law Firm, we are dedicated and focused on being professional, personal, and proactive.
In the title business, there's a lot of paperwork, but when you walk in the door, you don't see that. You see clean, clear walls, you see very straight lines.
Everyone here is like family.
They have a great team of people. The communication is great. I send as much business as I possibly can down here because they take such great care of us.
All right, thank you, Money Law Firm, for sponsoring this show. And I know they're responsible for some of the things you're going to see on this next screen here. Danny, you still got those lower thirds up. Let's take a look here. This week in Hunt County, 35 homes were listed, 38 were sold, and 13 went pending. And so once again, I think this is the third or fourth week in a row we're seeing that more homes were sold than listed. And, you know, a lot of people start talking about the fact that we have a extreme seller's market. I'm calling it a feeding frenzy at this point.
Correct.
Because there's so many buyers and so few sellers. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in just a minute. So we have 127 active homes on the market. This is just Hunt County. And what that means, that's 127 homes that are available for sale, that are available to be purchased. The issue with that 127, that looks a little bit skewed, but of the most desirable homes, that the ones that are getting the multiple offers and that are going off the market real quick, those are going off the market as soon as they come on. So I don't think, unless some of these new homes that came on are in that 127, I don't think that's 127 extremely desirable homes. I think that's 127 that are listed that may be desirable to some folks, but they're not going to fit that cookie cutter that everybody's looking for. Total sold last week in Hunt County was 5.6 million. The week before that was just a little over 6 million. The average sold price in Hunt County over the last 7 days was $225,110, and that's staying pretty solid. You know, the last probably 18 months or so, it has kind of hovered between 215 and 235. I think we saw it as high as 300 one week when we had very few sold. But when we have a good week where we have over 30 sold, that average price tends to stay right in that range. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about market characteristics. I know a lot of times people know when you're in the real estate business, so I know inspectors get this question too. I had an inspector ask me this question just last week. They said, they ask all the time, are we seeing a housing bubble? Are we seeing a bubble develop similar to what we saw in 2008? And I don't know if you've gotten that question or not.
I have not gotten that question.
No, but I'm sure you've wondered yourself.
All right.
We see the feeding frenzy. We see all that's going on. And I just wanted to point out some key market characteristics that are different than what we saw in 2008. And by the end of this, I hope that you're as comfortable as I am in the fact that I don't believe we're going to see a housing bubble. I really don't see. I really don't believe that's where we're at. And the reason is, if you look back in 2008 or pre-2008, when we were developing the bubble, especially in markets outside of Texas, and I know Phoenix was hard hit. I know that New York was hard hit. A lot of California was very hard hit. Even parts of Florida suffered a little bit. And there was some key hot spots in the country that were worse than others. But what we were seeing is people were bringing very little money to the table at closing. Mm-hmm. They were bringing very little cash and had zero equity in their home when they moved in. In fact, if you look back at some of those deals and how they were structured, people were actually walking in with negative equity because the lenders were lending almost 100%, and what the buyer was bringing to the table for closing just covered their closing costs, their lender expenses, their realtor expenses, maybe just those normal escrow fees from the title company. And so what that led to was people were either at zero equity or I think when we look at it, even some of those folks were at zero equity. Mm-hmm. Well, we also had a huge refinancing boom right before that, like we saw right now. Except the refinancing boom, people were able to they were able to refinance and take out 100% of their equity. So they could keep their home at zero equity. And they were going out and buying RVs, they were buying swimming pools, they were buying cars, they were buying all these toys with that equity. Well, what we've seen as a change since 2008, number one, is that the lowest amount that you can see down other than a USDA is about 3%. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to bring 3% to the table. Number two, those refinances, they won't refinance more than 80% of the equity out of there. So you're going to have 20% equity in the home in order to refinance. You're not going to be able to pull it all out. But the key difference in the market right now is the fact that buyers are bringing so much cash to the table. And that's one of the reasons it's making it so hard for buyers who have been in the market for a long time trying to buy with their 3% FHA financing, is because there's other offers out there that are either bringing all cash or they're a conventional buyer with conventional financing that's bringing 20, 30, 40, even up to 60% down to the table. And it's really hard to compete with that. But when you have that much cash going down, that's just equity in the home that you have. Mm-hmm. And so when we saw the bubble burst in 2008, people were walking away from those homes because they were worth, maybe $300,000, and overnight, they became worth like $85,000. Correct. When that bubble burst, just because the market was so overinflated because money was so cheap. I mean, there was no skin in the game by the buyer. And I'm not a big fan of lots of government regulation, but I think the government made the right changes.
I think they did a good job there.
Yes, I agree. And I think that the market conditions we have now are much different, where people are not. It's not a buyer's market or a seller's market where we're seeing these finance rates up to 100%. we're seeing so much cash come to the table. People have so much equity. It's a lot easier for somebody to walk away from their home when they've got really no skin in the game other than the mortgage payments they've made.
Correct.
But when somebody's brought $70,000 of hard-earned money to the table and put it down on that house, it makes it a lot harder to walk away, and it makes the market a much different animal than what we saw leading up to 2008. Now, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't in real estate previous to 2008, but I've done a lot of research because I own a brokerage,
Right.
and I have to give this information out to my agents and people that are expecting it from me. But at the same time, Ashley and I started investing in 2008. Our very first home we bought was in 2008, and just like we saw back in 2008, if there is a small correction, which if you study any market at all for a period of time, you'll see that there are corrections in the market. That's not necessarily a bubble. Right. I think what we'll see when we start seeing some of the foreclosures that have been pending come onto the market, I think we'll see, I don't want to call it stagnant, but I think we'll see maybe a flat line in home prices where they just don't increase as fast as they have been.
Right.
But what we're seeing is people who have bought their home 2 years ago are getting $50,000, $60,000, or $100,000 more than what they bought them for 2 to 3 years ago. So in the market, that's not just because home prices are increasing. That's not just because of inflation. That's because those homes are extremely desirable to buyers that are moving in.
Correct.
You have so many buyers that are moving in from out of state. You have so many buyers in the Metroplex post-COVID that are saying, I want to be further from my neighbor. I want a bigger house for the same money.
Yes.
I want to live more rural. and honestly, they want to live in a place where they saw that there were fewer restrictions during COVID.
Yes, sir.
Because so many people were living in these inner cities where the mask mandate was very, very strict. They felt like they were just locked down. Felt like they didn't have any freedoms.
Correct.
In Hunt County, we had a lot more freedoms than what we saw in other places, and it's just made it very desirable for those people that are getting out of the Metroplex to say, hey, come on down here and have a great life. And honestly, I've got one of the agents that is in my office came in doing the exact thing. He wanted to get his kids out of the rat race, get away from all those COVID restrictions, and move into Hunt County, and decided to move his real estate career over here as well. So that's just some Tracy 101. I know that's not any great economic forecast or anything, but we watch the Real Estate Center. Ashley and I do. We watch the Real Estate Center out of Texas A&M, and they're telling us that barring any war or extreme upheaval, that Texas looks good for about the next 10 years, especially North Texas, with home prices trending upward and lots of buyers available. So I have rambled on enough. Let's do what we're here for, and let's look at some of these brand new listings. Now, what we're going to show here, Jonathan, is these next few slides. These are houses that have been listed in the last 7 days in Hunt County. This is the snapshot of what's happened in this last week. This is by no means all of the listings that have come on in the last 7 days. And if you want to see more listings that have come on, give our office a call. Danny so graciously put our office phone number up there. You can give us a call, and we can talk to you about all the listings that are new. But this one is 8154 County Road, 2419 in Roy City. This guy listed at just shy of $950,000. It's 3,500 square feet, and it is on, and I'm losing the acreage here. I don't see it, so I'm just going to move forward. It's 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it's on a lot, is what it is. Anyway, let's look at a few interior pictures here. Look at that kitchen, man.
Oh, nice. Real nice.
I think so, too. You've been seeing a lot more crown molding come into houses lately, and I appreciate that. It really makes them look a lot more finished. You got the granite. Not only do you have the bar, but you also have the island. We really love the Peninsula bar. We have that in our house now, and we have it in the house that we're going to be moving into. Little office space here off the stairs. I don't want to say little because it's really not tiny.
Pretty good sized office space right there.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a lot more built-ins come back. After the 90s, it seems like in the late 90s, early 2000s, the built-ins went away. But you're starting to see a lot more of those come in, and people just really appreciate the storage space, even though a lot of it's in the open. It's more for trinkets and display stuff, but it gives you some options in the house that honestly, a lot of those early 2000 through probably 2015 houses just didn't have.
Yeah, me and my wife are looking at doing some of that built-ins in our office at our house.
So you can see this guy comes with a nice shop here. And it's only been listed for, I don't see the days on market here, listed for 3 days. So I bet this thing don't last long. Looks like a beautiful lot with some mature trees in the back. So give us a call. Let's talk about this guy. Our next one is right here on Old Mill Road. It's 10805 Old Mill Road here in Greenville, Texas. Old Mill Road has a lot of large houses, a lot of mature trees. It's a very desirable neighborhood on the south side of Greenville. This guy's listed at $999. It's 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 4,648 square feet. And it looks like it's on just under 6 acres of property there. And it's got this beautiful driveway, beautiful curb appeal. I like the mix with brick and the stone, really high entrance. I mean, this guy it's a stately, it's a stately looking home. Of course, you walk in and
big fireplace.
You know, it's like you have these two huge spectacles in here, you know, because you got this great fireplace with the big flat stones on it. Looks like a wood burning fireplace. But then you also have those huge picture frame windows out off the back porch where you can look out over your 5 acres there and take a look at what's going on. I love the way that is, and you know, it's really bringing the outside in, which is,
yes,
Ashley and I have just purchased a new home, or we're closing on it tomorrow, and it incorporates almost the same thing with the fireplace to the side and the big picture windows off to the back, and it's just a beautiful place to sit. Here's another view of the same living room. You can see the bridge upstairs has a little overview of the living area. I love that. Then here's the kitchen again with the peninsula bar and an island. And you know, just beautifully done. Yeah, I love that oven.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've told Ashley. We've been talking back and forth about maybe building a house, and I said I want a 48-inch oven, 48-inch stove, and you know, you're seeing this more and more with the vent hood above the stove versus the microwave being there, and I think that's a great trend to see, because those microwaves, even if they're ducted, man, they just don't seem to be able to pull that stuff out of the house. And then with COVID happening, man, so many people started cooking again that hadn't cooked in so long, at least not regularly. And man, you're starting to see the kitchens turn away from this bland,
used again.
From this bland like statement piece to a chef's kitchen again, or a more usable kitchen layout. You know,
people got less takeout and started doing more cooking this last year, and so
I love
hopefully that keeps going.
I love it. And then here's your primary bathroom. I can see there's a nice little tub there with a view.
Oh, nice over tub.
Yeah, and a little bit of separation there between his and her sink, and I appreciate that too, because I don't like being crowded in the morning when I'm trying to shave.
For sure.
And you've even got a swimming pool at that price, and there was an attached garage and a detached garage, a total of 6 covered parking spaces at this house. And then you can see that the pool has the built-in jacuzzi that looks like it waterfalls over into the swimming pool. If you want to see this thing, man, give us a call. We'd love to take you to it and show you around. That's 10805 Old Mill Road in Greenville. And I think this may be our last active one here. This guy here is 4504 3rd Street here in Greenville. It is 1,242 square feet, listed at $198,000. Man, I bet if we pulled up the MLS right now, this thing may already be pending.
That's very much possible.
Under $200,000 in the city of Greenville. A beautifully done home, and it looks like they've got new double pane windows. We were talking about electrical safety early. That's obviously, it looks to me like an updated electrical service there.
It does.
Because when this house was built, it probably would have had a 60 amp service, but they probably were required to update that to 180 or 200 amps. This thing is 3-bedroom, 1 bath, built in 1965, and it's on a regular city lot, just in the Pollard edition there. But take a look at this, man.
Nice.
What do you think about this? So I've seen this trend a little bit where they've done the wood on the ceilings, and they've run the wood on the ceiling in the opposite direction of the wood on the floor. Do you like that, or do you think that, would you prefer it going the same way? See, I'm a little OCD, and I'm thinking, man, the lines should line up.
So,
but
for me personally, I probably don't have a problem with it, but my wife, on the other hand, is OCD about that, and she'd probably be the same way and be like, what do we do? No, I think that because the colors slightly contrast, I think that it's marvelous the way that it is. I don't think I'd make them take it down and redo it for sure. I like the wood ceiling.
I think it's just a matter of preference. And then here, you've seen this trend back to black appliances, away from stainless steel. And they've done the black on the island there. This is a great kitchen. It's a corner kitchen, has the view of the window over the sink. We can't see, I'm assuming the refrigerator goes right there around the corner, but you see the black double oven, you can see the black vent hood, the glass cooktop, and the black dishwasher with the white kitchen. I love the contrast. And I like what they've done at the top of the cabinets with the flat wood versus the angled crown.
Yes, sir.
I really like how they did that. And then here's I'm assuming this is a picture of the primary bathroom. Well, it's the only bathroom in this house. It looks like a beautiful tile surround. They, if you've ever walked in a 1965 house, you and I couldn't take a shower in there without redoing that bathroom.
No, you could not. They're tiny.
I have to bend over to wash my hair in my grandfather's house. So they've moved that shower head up so that you and I could be able to take a shower in there if we had to. We've got the single valve there, so you can see that all the fixtures, it looks like both plumbing and electrical have been updated in this house and are fully modernized. And I think they've done a great job. This looks like a flip to me, and I think they've really done a good job with it. And I'm looking at the owner's name here, and they're real estate LLC, it looks like, so it is a flip. Here's a view of the backyard. They've redone the fencing there. I love the deck, man. And I think that's one thing that for so long, even with flippers, that was just kind of ignored and not really seen to. But I love the fact that you have the deck there, especially with all this rain we've been getting. You can still, on the clear days like we had yesterday, you can go out and sit down without having to put your chair in the mud.
Right. Yes, sir.
And that's what Ashley and I did yesterday evening. We just sat out on our back porch and kind of enjoyed the cooler weather and the breeze.
Oh, it was nice yesterday.
But, man, my driveway still has a bunch of runoff going through it.
Yes.
You step out in my yard, it's ankle deep in water. It's just... But you know so what? This gives you a place where you can be outside and not be in the mud. And I love it. So that was our last active. We're going to move on to our first sold here. This one is on K-Way Drive here in Greenville, and it was listed at $259. And let's see if I have the days on market. It looks like the date. Nope, I don't have it. Oh, 0 days on market. That's why I don't have it. So it went under contract the same day it was listed. The second one here was on County Road 4502 in Commerce. It was listed at $525,000, and again, we'll see here. I'm not seeing the days on market. Oh, right here, 46 days on market. So it's been a little bit more time on the market, but that's still pretty quick for that price point in Commerce.
Yes.
How many homes do we see? How many homes do we see at over 500,000 in Commerce? I think she's telling me that I'm talking too long. And then this sold here, I think this is our last sold, is on Lorraine Circle here in Greenville. It was listed at $142, and it spent 3 days on the market. Man, 3 days.
3 days.
And that's just showing you that's that under 200,000 in Greenville. Even though it's not brick, it looks like it was adequately done. That just shows you that there's a real desire anywhere. If the under 200,000 is going to go great. Just because you're going to have an equal mix of owner occupants as well as investors trying to buy that home. And then you get all the way up to that 270,000 price range, and you're going to have buyers all day long. And that's the other thing I didn't mention really in the market, and your dad probably knows this very well. Ashley and I are investors, and we buy off-market properties all the time for our investments.
Yes.
They're not as available right now.
No, they're not.
Their foreclosures aren't happening. There's no such thing as a short sale right now because everybody's got equity. So investors are having to turn to on-market properties, and that's another thing that has just led to this feeding frenzy because investors are not going to stop investing. That's what we do.
That's what exactly.
And so you're having to compete more with investors right now as an owner-occupant than you've probably ever had to. And so anyway, we have some strategies in our office to help buyers find homes. And so if you have a need to buy a home and would like to talk about some of those strategies, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about that. Our agents are wonderful. If you want to be a guest or have an idea for someone you would like to see on our show, or if you'd like to sponsor our show, email Casey Ralston at HomeTX.com. Right there's our phone number. You can give her a call. We'd love to put you on the show. We'd love to make you a sponsor of the show. Casey is our marketing manager. Let me tell you, man, she does a phenomenal job. So that does it for today on the Monday Market Update. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming. You. And I hope you get to use that little crawl space robot.
So.
And maybe some of our viewers will help you find a name for that guy.
All right, sounds good.
See you next week, Hunt County.
At Money Law Firm, we are dedicated and focused on being professional, personal, and proactive.
In the title business, there's a lot of paperwork, but when you walk in the door, you don't see that. You see clean, clear walls, you see very straight lines.
Everyone here is like family.
They have a great team of people. The communication is great. I send as much business as I possibly can down here because they take such great care of us.